Well, hello everybody, and welcome to a presentation about the Jupiter-Neptune trine of 2018. I am Louise Edington. For those of you that haven't met me before, I am an evolutionary astrologer. I trained under Kai Pacha and a lady called Maridel Bose, who was one of the first apprentices of Stephen Forrest. So I kind of waver between the Forest School of Evolutionary Astrology and the Jeff Wolf Green School. And I'm also a shamanic practitioner, so I tend to weave that in my shamanic practices into the astrology also, to make it my own, really. And on that note, I will tell you that we will be doing a short shamanic journey on this. It's kind of my signature thing where I get my clients journeying to the energies so that they feel them more than just have an intellectual awareness of them. So today I'm going to talk about the Jupiter-Neptune trine. First, we're having 3 trines coming up. The first one is on December the 2nd or 3rd, depending on where you are. But I want to go back, first of all, to December the 21st, 2009, which was when the Jupiter and Neptune were conjunct at the start of this cycle at 24 degrees of Aquarius. So this is quite a long cycle, as you can see, and it's going to go on till 2022. So just to look at this chart, I'm going to point to a few things. I assumed most of you are fairly au fait with astrology, but if you're not, I'm going to explain it anyway. So there is Jupiter and Neptune together at 24 degrees of Aquarius. And they were actually conjunct to Chiron, which I find really interesting as we go into the age of Aquarius. Now, I thought I would go back because I had some theories about this Jupiter-Neptune cycle because of my own experiences and what I've witnessed with my clients and things. I'm seeing a big increase in kind of different kinds of faith and belief, if you like. So I'm going to talk about all that as well. So first of all, while you just mull over that chart, you can see that those 3 are conjunct. Chiron, the point of healing or the wounded healer, Jupiter and Neptune all together in Aquarius, and as we move into the new age of Aquarius and the new paradigm. And of course the moon was there as well, but that's kind of a bit less significant because the moon moves so quickly. And interestingly, they were both opposite asteroid Hygeia, which is kind of a... I don't work with Hygeia that much, but I do know she's about healing and health and hygiene and that kind of thing, and kind of more cleaning out and purification. So that's just a chart for you to look at and soak up while I talk about a few things. So I wanted to talk about faith and belief. Because Jupiter and Neptune both have a connection with that. Neptune initially really is about the need to feel at one with the whole. Jupiter's the urge to connect with something greater than the self. And I'll stick with that for now. So I kind of have a bit of a theory that faith and belief are different. And so I did a little bit of research about it, and they're very similar, but I want to talk about what's the differences. So they're used interchangeably in many contexts. You know, they're used for, I have faith in this or I believe in this. But faith is really used to refer to more religious pursuits and kind of more spiritual pursuits. And belief is used in a variety of contexts. So I found a few differences between faith and belief as I kind of looked at the definitions. And faith is strong trust and confidence in something or someone. It's But whereas belief is a state or habit of mind in which trust or confidence is placed in some person or thing. Faith is generally used more in spiritual context, I'm going to say, rather than more than religion. And belief is used in more general contexts. For example, you can believe in a lot of things, but it doesn't necessarily mean you have faith in them, because faith implies kind of more of a devotional aspect to it, and that strong and unwavering kind of trust, whereas belief doesn't really imply devotion and may not be as kind of strong as faith. So faith is strong trust and confidence in something or someone. Faith specifically refers to something that cannot be proven by evidence. So it's not based on proof. Faith in religion or a spiritual practice is the strong trust and belief in God and the doctrines of that religion. Faith is a main element in any religion, although the concept of faith may differ according to different religions. It's the faith of the followers that keep a religion or a spiritual practice alive. The follower of a spiritual practice trusts and believes in substances and concepts that are neither seen nor felt. So really it's trust in the unseen. And most of the religions in the world are based on the existence of God, although the people who follow the religion have never actually seen God in the sense that you can see, hear, feel, touch God. So anyway, I think you get the idea. This is not meant to have any judgment on it. Faith is kind of just this trust and thing. But whereas belief, the Oxford Dictionary defines belief as the acceptance that something exists or is true, especially one without proof. But Merriam-Webster defines it as a feeling of being sure that someone or something exists or that something is true. They're just slightly different things. But I'm not going to go on and on about definitions and things. I just want to talk really about how Jupiter and Neptune have been working together as we move into the age of Aquarius, and more specifically since Neptune has been in Pisces. So I think that's all I want to talk about on that. So I'm going to just talk a little bit more about Neptune and Jupiter. So Neptune represents how you transcend yourself and merge with the oneness of life. Real keywords for Neptune are transcendence, merging, oneness, the urge to escape from limitations, and the need to feel at one with the whole, as I said. As we know, Neptune rules all kinds of things like addiction, inspiration, but also anxiety, compassion, insanity, also mysticism, illusion and disillusion, oneness, I've said before, psychic sensitivity, dreams, Hollywood, interestingly, as we talk about what's happening at the moment since Jupiter went into Scorpio, escapism of all kinds, transcendence, ideals, universal love, imagination and fantasy. And whereas Jupiter has a slightly different kind of emphasis, but as the traditional ruler of Pisces, they have very similar feels to them. They're very similar octaves, if you like. So Jupiter represents how you seek to grow and improve yourself and experience trust. Keywords are expansion, belief, and grace. And the desire, as I said, is the urge to connect with something greater than the self. The needs of Jupiter, as I should know because I have amazing amount of Sagittarius in my chart, Jupiter is my ruling planet, is the need for faith and confidence in life and to improve the self. Other keywords for Jupiter are abundance, aspirations, largesse, recklessness, chance, luck, magnanimous. Cornucopia is a good one. It's creative visualization, it's optimism, it's philosophy, it's religion, and it's generosity, travel, higher learning, higher mind, and wisdom. Okay. So these two are in the signs. Neptune is in Pisces and has been for quite a long time. Since not long after those two met together, really, back in 2009. And Pisces, Neptune rules Pisces, and the key phrase for Pisces is I believe. And Pisces is also connected with deception and dreaming again, and to all the similar words of Neptune, but it's a bit more, even more confused, creative. I think of Pisces, as the cosmic soup, really, where everything else of the cosmos is kind of thrown in and jumbled up. I see it as kind of the amniotic fluid as well, kind of the fluid from whence we come and to which we return. It's the fluid that our soul kind of swims around in, if you like, before we're born. It's a very sensitive place, a place where if you think about what it's like to be in deep water, what it must be like to be in the amniotic fluid swimming around, it's like you can hear things, but it's all muffled. But everything's kind of like loud sounds and loud bangs and loud movements, and everything kind of really kind of are amplified, but in a kind of echoey kind of way. I love to get that feeling of that energy, and for me, that's the energy of Pisces, where Neptune is for these trines. Now, then we look at Scorpio, where Jupiter is, and and look what's been happening since Jupiter went into Scorpio with Weinstein and all the Hollywood things with coming out, and all the dirt being dug up, and all our illusions being shattered. Kind of Hollywood has been shown as really a real den of nastiness and power struggles, which is very Scorpio as well, of course. And I do think there's a lot more to come of this kind of everything. But Scorpio is also desire. So, I don't just want to talk about the dirt that Jupiter's been bringing up. It's been increasing desire. And it's about transformation through emotional power and desire for passion and depth. Other words for Scorpio are obsession and possession and power and powerlessness and death and rebirth, and it's everything that's deeply psychological, and it's kind of investigation and secretive things. It's deeply sensitive and very deeply emotional, but also very deeply spiritual and very vulnerable, but also has great fear of vulnerability. So all these energies are the energies that this trine is coming from. So I want to look back at the first joining of these two in this cycle, and I thought I'd look back at a little bit of history and see what was happening when they joined. And the movie Avatar was actually released 3 days before the conjunction, and to my mind this was extremely in alignment with the conjunction, and is in alignment with what's been happening since and what will continue to happen with these trines as we look through them. there has been a huge rise since 2000, since the end of 2009, in all kinds of more shamanic spiritual practices, if you like, and also disillusion with really predatory religious and political and other power things, ideologies. Now, this, of course, has a lot to do with Pluto going through Capricorn as well, digging up the dirt on our institutions. But I believe it has a lot to do with this Jupiter-Neptune cycle being where it is kind of dissolving our illusions about those that rule us and all the ideologies that we live under. Of course, it does have the other side of it, where some people are becoming even more kind of stuck in their ideologies. But I just thought it was really apt that the movie Avatar, which if you've seen, I hope you've all seen it, so was really kind of about what we're doing as a humanity to nature, and what we're doing to the connection with nature, and how really we need to get back in touch and to live in harmony with nature, the natural cycles, and which is what the shamanic path basically is, because all cultures have a shamanic path of some kind or another. So, you know, the film's message was talking about respecting cultural and religious autonomy as well, and standing for kind of a pluralistic, multicultural world, rather than trying to control each other, which is what the patriarchy's been doing for thousands of years, basically. So the word avatar itself combines the words ava or ava, to descend, with tara, to heal, to restore, to cross over. So that's what the word avatar itself means. And to my mind, this Jupiter-Neptune cycle is bringing us a kind of spiritual healing, if you like, that's going to carry us forward into the new paradigm. So, is there anything else I wanted to say that? So the Hindu avatars as well are actually, there's a story of 10 avatars. And I don't think I'm going to go through them all for the interests of time. You can look it up, or I can actually kind of send you some information if you'd like to look at it. But the story of the 10 avatars in Hinduism suggests evolutionary process of life on Earth. God appears in successively more developed life forms, from a fish to a tortoise, to a half man, half animal, to the dwarf Vamana, to Parshurama with the axe, to righteous Rama, to many-faceted Krishna, to compassionate Buddha, and finally to Kalki, which is yet to come. And Kalki is known as eternity or time. That's the future avatar. He's expected to appear at the end of the Kali Yuga, which we are coming to the end of now, the present dark age. He'll destroy the vulgar, corrupt, and insatiable overlords of the earth. He will unfold a new golden age. And that story can be found in the Kalki Purana. Sorry, my dog was sneezing. So, Sri Aurobindo explains the evolutionary symbolism of the avatar as such. Avatarhood would have little meaning if it were not connected with the evolution. The Hindu procession of the 10 avatars is itself, as it were, a parable of evolution. First the fish avatar, then the amphibious animal between land and water. And if you think about this, this follows what the story of evolution itself does believe that we kind of came out of the water. Then the land animal, then the man-lion avatar, bridging man and animal, then man as dwarf, small and undeveloped, then other avatars leading the human development, Krishna, Buddha, and Kalki, and then Krishna, Buddha, and Kalki depict the last 3 stages, the stages of the spiritual development. And that, to my mind, is what this trine is further forwarding for this next year. The avatar descends in answer to an appeal from Mother Earth. Earth is personified in ancient Indian stories. Earth is not dead matter. India has long held the view that the divine intervenes in human affairs. In certain religions, God is known only through an intermediary, the last prophet or the only begotten son. God himself or herself does not take birth. He or she deals with humanity through a chosen proxy. In Hinduism, God manifests personally without the need for an intermediary. We have direct contact with God. The idea of the avatar has persisted in Hinduism because it is a logical outcome of the Vedantic point of view of life. All existence is a manifestation of the divine, and nothing could exist separate and apart from the divine. The avatar descends to combat evil and restore righteousness. Ancient Indian thought accepted the idea that there is continually a struggle between right and wrong, justice and injustice. And a day may come when love shall reign supreme and peace shall guide nations. In the meantime, we accept life as a field of contending forces and need for divine manifestation. The avatar appears in different locations at different times. This gives rise to pluralism and multiplicity. God's revelation is not a single historical event. Rama, Krishna, and Buddha are 3 important avatars in India. Of course, Jesus was another avatar. But the real avatar is in your heart. The divine is available to us in prayer and meditation. He, she answers to our heartfelt need. Shut the door and go within. And the inner divinity is the eternal avatar. So this was kind of the message of the movie that came out at the start of this cycle. Since that point, I witness it through my work and my shamanic practices and things. And I just witness it in my clients, in people I work with, in my friends, that there has been this rising in consciousness of a different kind. It's less blind faith and belief and more inner consciousness and inner faith and inner belief. One of my shamanic teachers is Sandra Ingerman. Well, I taught with a student of hers, and there's an example. She teaches how to do beginner's shamanic journey work. Now, when she first kind of offered the course, there would have been very few people that would take it. Last year, I think she offered this course, and she had hundreds of people sign up for an online course. The interest in these things and the belief that people have the answers inside, that they can find the inner divinity, is just growing and growing through this cycle. And I believe these 3 trines will increase that even more. So I want to look at these aspects one by one. Okay. So the first exact trine by transit is on the December the 2nd or the 3rd, depending where in the world you are. The 2nd here for me in Utah. And this will take place at 11 degrees of Scorpio and 11 degrees of Neptune. Now, 11, I always look at a little bit of numerology when I look at these things as well. 11 is a master number. Okay, and it is the most intuitive of numbers. It's instinctual, it's charismatic, and it's dynamic and capable. It's the number associated with faith and psychics. So my belief is that this first trine will trigger another increase in people's psychic abilities, in people's psychic connection with each other, in this connection with the oneness of everything, that, you know, what happens to one person affects all of us. And I see this in the rise of some areas of politics. I'm going to be cautious what I say there. But in this week's elections, there was a lot of very progressive politicians who won at grassroots level, who really want to care for people, for the other, if you like. So that's not saying which side is right or anything, but, you know, just this general realization that we're not in it on our own. We are in it together is on the rise. So that's the first one at 11 degrees. And then we have the second one, and they're both direct at the time. The second trine is on May the 25th of next year. And I think that's for most of us. It may be May the 26th in some areas of the globe. And this one is at 16 degrees with Jupiter retrograde, the middle trine. Now, 16 is a number that is very outspoken and strong, and it's a karmic number. Okay, so it's a number that is about a reminder to keep your feet on the path of higher learning, which is represented by Jupiter. And it's interesting that Jupiter is retrograde while we have this at a 16.7. Okay, so this is about the middle trine really is about cultivating some personal willpower and initiative to overcome obstacles rather than just relying on out there. Because the thing about trusting and faith in the inner divinity is that we do have to take action ourselves and do things ourselves. It doesn't mean being in it for ourselves, but it does mean that we have to have our personal practice. We have to be committed enough to follow personal devotionary or divine practices. Okay, and it's also the number of, because it's a 7, so it's also a number of obligation and responsibility to listen to that inner voice. So I believe the middle one, we're going to get a big reminder from the collective to keep going within, because the temptation for humanity, as history shows, is always to look out there and go out there and seek for the answers out there. And the last and final trine, okay, is on August the 19th of next year. And that's at 15 degrees of Scorpio and Neptune. So this one is, excuse me, just looking at my notes. This one is highly creative and highly artistic. Okay, this number really kind of takes us out to take this healing into the world, okay, in a very creative new way, and to take this new kind of found sensitivity that we're going to get an upgrade with, as if some of us are not sensitive enough to take it out into the world and bring more healing. I have a little bit more to say at that, but I want to look at 2 other significant dates in the cycle. The last square is on January the 13th, 2019, at 14 degrees of Neptune and Scorpio. And then the ending of the cycle and the beginning of the next cycle is right on April the 12th, 2022, at 23 degrees of Pisces. And that's 23.5, of course, and that's the number of change. So I think there's going to be some big shifts and changes because of course, the next cycles are going to move into different signs. So I did have a couple of Sabian symbols I wanted to look at to do with this as well, which I found were really interesting. So I wanted to look particularly at the Sabian symbols for the last and final transit of these 3 transits, where we're going to get this inner spiritual upgrade, I think, over the next year. And the Sabian symbol for 16 Scorpio, because we always go up one with the Sabian symbols, is actually one word. It's called, the whole section is about faith, which is kind of amusing. So the actual symbol is a girl's face breaking into a smile. And the keynote by Dane Rudhyar is a fervent reaching out on the part of the young of heart to new experiences. He goes on to say, faith in life and in other human beings enables us to go forth toward relationships with whatever attracts our senses or stirs our imagination. Smiling is perhaps a uniquely human characteristic because it implies a conscious acceptance of relationship, thus a choice. The animal, on the other hand, is compelled by unconscious instinct, at least in its natural state. It's not free to choose between love and hate. And so this to me indicates that we have a choice after the spiritual upgrade, that we're going to get this extra cosmic boot, which, because it's a trine 3 times, we're going to have to consciously choose, because trines are a little bit lazy. As we know, this 60-degree aspect needs conscious work to bring it in. We have this choice to go forward with this warmth of feeling and this conscious acceptance of relationship and the oneness of all. And then on the other side of this, we could look at the Sabian symbol for Pisces. And interestingly, Chiron, by the way, will be in Aries by the last one, bringing in a whole new era and new feel to the point of healing. But let's look at the Sabian symbol for 16 Pisces. Okay. In the quiet of his study, a creative individual experiences a flow of inspiration. And the keynote is reliance upon one's inner source of inspiration or guidance. And Dane Rudhyar goes on to say that I'm not going to read all of it, but the inspiration, original and individual though it may be, is given a form which is conditioned by the cultural, social, and religious background of the creative person. In a sense, every genius merely records an answer to the needs of his time. The hands that write, play an instrument, or mold a plastic material are his own. The hands that write, are his own. The urge to or drive back of the flow of inspiration has arisen in the vast collective mind of man. So to my mind, this is indicating that by the end of this cycle, we are going to have a whole new up level that takes us to out into this feeling of oneness, this I've read that some people believe we're going to actually be communicating telepathically in the future, but I think that's happening more and more anyway. People feel each other, they know each other, they get more inspiration. More people are having kind of psychic knowings, at least, if not clairaudient or clairvoyant experiences. We're just in this massive spiritual uplift as we move into the new paradigm, and I think it's going to continue until 2022. I'm not sure, I haven't really looked beyond that point. I just wanted to look at this cycle for this time. So now I am actually going to take you on a little spiritual journey, a shamanic journey, and I would actually ask you to journey to Neptune in Pisces, because that's kind of the base of this cycle. I would like you almost to go back into the amniotic fluid. For those of you that haven't journeyed before, just trust what you get. I'm going to actually switch my video off and do some drumming myself for 10 minutes, so that instead, because last time I had a bit of trouble with with technology on playing a drum track on my computer, so I'm going to just drum myself to. And I would like you to all imagine yourselves in a place. Mine is just a meadow, and for some people it's a beach or a mountaintop or anywhere that just comes to mind. Have a look about you, and there'll probably be a guide or two with you, and ask to be taken into the cosmic soup, into the amniotic fluid from which you come and to which we return. And ask, and when you go in, you'll be taken down into the underworld. Look for a way, an opening in the ground, and it could be steps, it could be a ladder, it could be like a slide, a hole. And just go down below and look around, take note of everything, and just see where it takes you. Say, I want to be taken to the cosmic soup. However that appears to you is right for you. Always trust what you get. Once you find the cosmic soup, the amniotic fluid, ask questions, ask what you need to know. Ask what you, there's a chat, hang on a second. Oh, okay, yes, I can stop share. Okay, yes, ask for whatever, what you need to know to move forward through this time. What inner guidance you need to follow, what practices maybe you need to undertake to make the most of these energies that we have coming up for the next year, because we do have some other more difficult and more challenging energies. So if you can move into this divine, into this inner divinity in the next year, it's going to help you move through everything. So I'm going to get my drum. And actually, I won't turn my video off. I'm just going to, because you'll have your eyes closed anyway. I'd like you all to sit back and get comfortable. I'm just going to drum for about 10 minutes. So I'll come back 10 minutes before the top of the hour to see if anybody's got any questions at all. And you'll hear just before I finish the journey, I'm going to slow the drumming down a little bit and then start it again. And that's called the callback. And that's the time that you say thank you to whoever you meet on the journey, and you come back into the room and into your own physical body and space. Okay. So let me just have a look a second. I'm actually going to minimize this screen just while I drum, because I can see all your faces and it's a little bit distracting for me. So I can still see the chat. And I'm just going to drum. So enjoy the journey, and I'll see you back here in about 10 minutes. Okay. I'll find my way back again. So, how was that for everybody?
Fantastic. Great.
I wonder if anybody would like to share their journey or anything about it or how it felt.
Yes, I was walking down some stairs going down to the center of the earth, and I get to the first place and there's an angel there and had a scroll and words were appearing on the scroll, but I won't share those, but very beautiful words. And I kept going down, then I saw Jesus, kept going down, then I saw Ramana Maharshi, kept going further, and then the creatrix goddess. Then right at the bottom was the light, and I went in there and I saw all souls and ancestors and everything. Then an underground world opened up, and there was water and mountains and the sun and the moon and everything. And
Wow.
and then the drum slowed down, and I made my way back up again. So it was really beautiful. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah. And I kind of hope you got kind of a bit of a message about
Yes,
how to maximize this energy, for
lots
sure.
and lots of messages. Yes,
Cool.
thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. Does anybody else like to share or anybody have any questions? I did leave time at the end this time for questions and nobody's going to have any.
Give us a moment because we need to just think. Yeah.
No worries.
Hi, Louise.
Hello.
Hi. Mine was a little bit hard to put into words. It was quite psychedelic. It was more
Nice.
flowers opening up, like just from the center, and then energy just spreading everywhere, and sort of dropping down and then floating through all. It was like there was sort of, I couldn't put a number on it, but different layers, and I was like swirling through all three. I couldn't see any particular objects or people or actual messages. It was just felt like a big energy sack. Yeah. So it's different for everyone, isn't it?
It is. It always is. And you always get exactly what you need to see and what you need to hear. Whatever. Yeah. So, yeah. Is this Carly?
It is, yes.
Yes. Sorry, I wasn't sure who it was. So, well, nice to meet you.
Thank you for that. That was awesome.
Good. Glad you enjoyed it. Yeah. No questions?
Yeah, no questions. I think it's just something to sit with, and I think I'll find it easier to connect with that place next time, to sort of go into that energy.
Yeah, it's hard in a 10-minute journey, but of course you can't really do a longer one.
It did go very fast, yes.
It does, yeah. For anybody that wants to kind of go back into it, if they've not done shamanic journeying before, there's lots of shamanic journey drum tracks on YouTube, from 10 minutes to an hour or longer. So if anybody wants to go back into the journey and explore it further, then just find yourself a drum track and some quiet time and space, and just ask to be taken back into it again and go back. I've actually gone back into even dreams, actual dreams that I had at night, and asked to be shown more. And I always get more information than I had before. So don't be afraid to do that. So. And I did mean to say, actually, as well, in my talk, we're going back to Scorpio, really, to the fact that this trine has Jupiter in Scorpio, and the words "I desire" for Scorpio. I think even though this is a trine, and trines can, kind of slip by, I think the desire with Jupiter in Scorpio, the desire for transcendence and the desire for this real inner divinity is going to be really strong, driven by Jupiter in Scorpio. So follow the desire, really, is my message about these aspects. So.
I have a comment. This is Sue.
Hi, Sue.
Hi, Louise. Hi. I have to say that what I experienced was probably more feeling rather than anything visual. I mean, there were a few, little bit visual, but it was more just a feeling of calm and the watery, like you suggested with the amniotic fluid and stuff. And then basically that just keep doing what I'm doing, because I'm trying hard in order to, to do all these things, but yet I'm getting there. And interestingly, I have Mars in Scorpio, and these the one trine will be right, the Jupiter will be right on top of it. So it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
that's going to be what I'm doing.
Yes, keep going. You're going to feel strong push and desire then, very strong. Yeah, it's not likely to pass you by. Yeah. Which one is that?
Well, the other thing I noticed was that one of the one at 15 degrees.
So the last one.
Sorry, my connection is really slow. Let me turn my video off. It might be a little bit better.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the I think it's the last one with the that is next. Is it next summer, right after the eclipse? Or no, the middle one, right in August. Right, and I noticed that it's right after the eclipse,
right?
Which is right on my Pluto.
Oh, fabulous! Well, keep in touch and let me know what happens next August.
Digging deeper and deeper.
Yeah, for sure. Wow.
Thank you for this. I really appreciate it.
You're very welcome.
Hi,
okay.
Louise.
Hi.
I just wanted to make a comment. These are a little bit hard for me. I don't know if it's because my nodal axis is being triggered right now on all ends, because I have squares to the nodes, and the actual node itself is being triggered. And I noticed that Jupiter, I didn't realize it at the time, that the Jupiter-Neptune conjunction was right on my Venus, which squares my nodes.
What, the one that started the cycle?
Yes, the one that started the cycle. So,
yeah.
And there's definitely been a lot of truths, and the curtains and the fog clearing. Big time.
I bet. Oh, I bet. You're going to be a completely different person then by the time this cycle ends, for sure. Yeah. I think we've been Facebook friends for quite a while. I think I've seen you. I've seen
started out on YouTube with you.
Yeah.
Thank you for this.
You're welcome. I think we're at about the hour now, aren't we? So if anybody doesn't have any. Sorry, my dogs are they're joining in. If I tell you, my dogs always join in when I do all the journey work and things. They sense the energy and they get very they get a bit excited.
Oh, it's wonderful, Louise. I thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
Okay, we'll wind down. Thank you so much, Louise. That was amazing. Absolutely incredible. So thank you from all of us. See you next time.
Okay. Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you
very much.
Yeah.